Hey, it's the Nerdy Sports Fan, and we're going through every team's positional needs and what they really need to address in the offseason leading up to the combine and free agency coming soon. So, into the NFC South now, and we're getting into New Orleans. Now, this is a little more cut and dried than some of the other teams. Their biggest worry was Drew Brees, whether or not he was coming back. Well, he's already said that he's going to. So, wipe the sweat from the brow, Cam Jordan. You got another crack at it. This team is built to win now. And that's plainly obvious. I'm not telling anybody anything they didn't know already by saying that. So, cap space, not really a thing. They got $8 million in cap space? $9.7 million in cap space. That's going to be eaten up very quickly. You figure about half of that is needed for your draft class. So, what do you got? One, maybe free agent that you're going to pull in with the rest of that? Maybe two, depending on what tier you go with. So, not a lot of holes in this team. The offensive line's pretty stout. Defensive line's pretty stout. Linebackers, defensive secondary, running backs, wide receivers. They are fully built. So I think, if anything, what you're getting in free agency is depth, and maybe some things where you can put some wrinkle packages together, because Sean Payton loves that sort of shit. All right? This offseason's going to change the course of the franchise, though. So, is it going to be status quo next year? Absolutely. Brees is back. The team's built. That's what you're going for. All right? You're going for win now. Let's try and get a Super Bowl ring. One more on Brees' hand before he goes. But his backups are really the story. So, Teddy Bridgewater did way better than almost anybody was expecting. All right, everybody thought before his injury that he was on a path to be a true franchise quarterback. Now Minnesota's kicking themselves in the ass for letting him go because they have Kirk Cousins on an extremely expensive deal, and he only just won his first big boy game. So, was that really an upgrade? Was it a lateral move? Was it a step back? Looking at what Bridgewater did last season while Brees was injured, 5-0 is really hard to argue with. Personally, I think New Orleans needs to go hard at Bridgewater. I think they need to tell him, look, dude, you're the franchise moving forward. We have Drew Brees. There's nothing we can do about that. We're not kicking the man out the door. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, and you can't argue it. All right? Just top in every major statistical category. He's won a Super Bowl. So, yeah, you're riding the pine behind that dude, but he's eventually going to go. So, Drew Brees retires at the end of the next season, which is extremely likely. Who would you rather have? Taysom Hill, who's thrown 7 NFL passes, and he's more that, Swiss Army knife kind of role. He's playing the role that Tim Tebow refused to. So, do you want that dude, or do you want Teddy Bridgewater, who's a real NFL quarterback? There's a reason Bridgewater was the guy who started those 5 games and not Taysom Hill. And it's because he can play from the pocket consistently and doesn't have to rely on gadget plays. He can just read defenses and do what he's supposed to do from the pocket, and that's how he wins. So I think letting Bridgewater go would be a mistake. I don't think they can avoid it, though. He's going to demand a big money contract this offseason, and there are other teams that are a quarterback away from being intensely good. The Colts come to mind. I think the Colts is the perfect landing spot for Bridgewater. But really, from the Saints' perspective, letting him go, I believe, is a mistake. But again, I don't necessarily think they can avoid it because they don't have enough cap space to really do anything about it. So, that covered, what else really is there to talk about? You know, this Saints team is what it is at this point. They're going to be drafting likely skill position players. You know, somebody that they can put a package together for that's going to be really speedy. You know, compliments to Michael Thomas in the passing game, always good. Alvin Kamara wasn't necessarily as good by himself as he was with Mark Ingram back there with him. So, maybe a big-bodied running back coming into town again. Ugh. Excuse me. I think that would be wise. Getting that 1-2 punch going again in the backfield instead of relying heavily on Kamara like they did this past season seemed to be a much more efficient way to run this offense. And I don't think many would argue that. So you want to keep Kamara healthy. So you don't want to overwork it. So get somebody who can just plunge up the gut. That was something Ingram was great at. Latavius Murray was, kind of a poor substitute for that. So if you can upgrade that second running back option, great. Otherwise, you're really just drafting for depth in the future. You're not drafting for, hey, we need a guy right here. No. You'll find whatever you need with a veteran free agent who's just looking for a team to tack on to so he can try and win a ring at the end of his career. You don't need to draft the way other people are drafting. You just go ahead and find the best guy that you can, that you think you can make a package around in the offense to give him a couple of plays that are really going to break him open. That's what I see Sean Payton doing with this draft. Free agency, they're just going to... Excuse me again. They are going to just pick up whatever veteran free agents they can that are looking to win a ring at the end of their career to bolster the rotation, but also to bolster the locker room. Make sure the leadership capabilities of the locker room are stout. Other than that, it's just status quo. All right? But I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. What you think the biggest team needs are, because there aren't really many holes on this roster. What you would like to see them do in the draft, what you would like to see them do in free agency, what you think of Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill. I'm very interested to hear what Saints fans have to say about their team. So, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Hit me up in the comments so we can keep the conversation going. We will be posting many more free agency and draft videos for every team as the offseason progresses. So keep it dialed here if you enjoy the content, guys. Thanks for watching.